Hello, everyone. Good evening again, and thanks for joining us tonight for this Tanzania trip session on Zoom. And as Amy mentioned, it has two parts. And if you go on the World Affairs Council website, travel pages, just you can see the Tanzania trip in two parts. Download the brochures and application forms, and you can, check them out at your leisure. But tonight I will go over the safari part and the hiking part. All the hiking part comes first. That's an optional part for those who are willing and able. I will start with this safari portion as that may address more people just because of the physical activity that's involved, the strenuous physical activity that's involved in the hiking part. So now I will start sharing my screen with you, and then I will start my presentation. It will not go over the itinerary day by day, but in general, especially for a safari, just well, of course, there are day by day stuff that we need to follow and go and everything, but it is mostly depending on the animals, the natural life and everything. So much of the activity, of course, cannot be scheduled, right? It depends on what we see over there. So anyhow, I will talk about that in detail when we go over the itinerary. So I will stop my video, start sharing my screen, and here it is. And now I believe you see the cover page of the brochure at the same time and the first page of our presentation. So Tanzania, the Great Safari, from August 2nd to 11th, so 2023, 10 days, 8 nights. So this is only the safari portion, 10 days, 8 nights. And before that, just to remind again, we have the hiking portion, and those who take the hiking part may opt to continue with the safari or just take the hiking part if they have been to Tanzania before, and then fly back after the hiking part. Here is a map of the region, just Tanzania in the middle, our destination. Now, it is on the eastern coast of African continent, surrounded by Kenya to the north, and Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda up north here, also Lake Victoria, separating them, that is Kenya and Uganda, and Democratic Republic of Congo here, and we have Zambia and Mozambique and Malawi down south, and Indian Ocean, of course, to the east. So this is a big country with a population of about 64 million people, and it covers 366,000 square miles, which is about 40% bigger than Texas, the size of Texas. And its official capital is Dodoma, this little city here, but the biggest city is Dar es Salaam by the coast. Now, Tanzania, that is the pronunciation of the name of the city, the country, and it gained its independence from England, mainly from the UK and Germany, 1961. And at the time, this little island here, Zanzibar Island, that was also an independent entity, and it gained its independence in 1963. And in 1964, they decided to merge and form a federative republic. So the Tanganyika of the mainland and Zanzibar of the island, Tanzania. So the first, syllables of each country joined together formed the name of this country in 1964 after the merger, Tanzania and Zanzibar. Now, in this trip, though, we will not cover the whole country, just we will mainly concentrate in this region that is kind of northwest part of the country, which is well known for, of course, Mount Kilimanjaro here and the national parks up north and northwest, mainly Serengeti and Ngorongoro. Now let's just close up here in the map. And what we see here is a close-up of the north western part. This is Serengeti National Park here, and Lake Victoria up northwest. And Arusha is more or less the unofficial capital of the region. And here is Mount Kilimanjaro and the Ngorongoro Conservation Area. So what we're going to do is we will fly into, let's see here. Yes, we will fly into the Kilimanjaro airport, which is about an hour outside Arusha, between the mountain and Arusha town. And we will stay in the town of Arusha. And then we will fly, take a very local, flight from a small airstrip in Arusha to another small airstrip in the Serengeti National Park, to the kind of west of Serengeti National Park, which is the northern Serengeti part. And then we will have our game drives and everything. 2 nights later, we will drive to central Serengeti and again continue with the game drives, and just we'll go over those in a short while. And after those, we will drive to the Ngorongoro Conservation Area, which is actually an extinct volcano. And from there, we will drive back to Arusha, visiting this Lake Manyara in between. And then we will fly back from Arusha at the end of our trip. Now, here we see one of the gates of Serengeti National Park. Welcome to the Serengeti National Park. Well, of course, it has a bunch of different entry points. We will just fly into, so we will, come from northwest. And this is one of the World Affairs Council groups, actually, that was there in 2018. Now, Serengeti, this is a protected area of about 12,000 square miles, this national park. It's made up of, forests and swamp areas, grasslands, woodlands, and kopjes. And there are, Maasai people in the area, which we are going to, visit one of their villages. And the Serengeti here, northern Serengeti, in Maasai language, it is supposed to mean endless plains. Now, we are there mostly, of course, for the safari, right? For game viewing the natural life over there. Now, the main action when we are there is supposed to be the Great Migration. Great Migration, that is the migration of the grazing animals, actually, and it depends on the grazing conditions. Well, of course, there are wildebeest and gazelles and zebras, buffaloes, a huge population of them. And this great migration is the second largest terrestrial mammal migration in the world. And you may ask, which one is the first? That is the caribou migration in North America, in Canada and Alaska, all that way there, as far as the number of animals involved. So the distance they cover is about 500 miles. And what happens is, first of all, we have to remember that we're in the southern hemisphere, just below the equator line, about 3 degrees to the south of the equator line. So it is, a tropical area, and day and night are more or less equal throughout the year. Just 12 hours and 12 hours. There isn't much of a difference, except, maybe a couple of minutes. And there are seasonal rains coming and going. So that is what causes this great migration. Now, in January to March, the grazing land, because of the rain, is in the south. And the animals, mainly the grazing animals, wildebeest and zebras first, and then gazelles, they are in the south, January to March, grazing. And as the rains move up north, they follow the rain, behind the rain, they follow the grazing lands, the green grass, and they move up north. April to June, they are, this is this Malagete River following into the Lake Victoria, and there is Grumeti River. So they are in this area to the west of the Serengeti National Park. And by July, they are up north. And the important part is this Grumeti River, they are crossing the river. And then again, following the rain and green grass, they go up north. By August to October, they cross the border to Kenya, and they are in Kenya in Masai Mara National Reserve. And by November to December, they move back. So this continues in clockwise fashion, the Great Migration. Now, the should I say problem or the gradual change is with the climate change, just in 5 years ago, 10 years ago, the crossing the river up here, Grumeti River, that would happen by the beginning of July. So the herds of wildebeest and zebras and gazelles would be in this area in July. So we would do this trip by the beginning of July, to follow the herds and to follow this great migration. But now the rains started to come late. So this crossing moved to the beginning of August, more or less. Even then, of course, there is no fixed date, and it is not, certain that it will happen by the beginning of August. So all this, what should I say, this picture actually changed, and everything moved 1 month ahead. Rather than July, they are here in August, and we'll be there in August, and hopefully we'll see the crossing by the Grumeti River. Now we will have 4x4s, mostly Toyotas or Land Rovers, Land Cruisers, on this trip. They are very comfortable, 3 rows for 2 people, 6 people in the back, and 1 next to the driver. They can have up to 7 people with pop-up tops, and they have a refrigerator inside, and they have outlets to charge your phones and cameras. So we have, of course, driver guides throughout the tour with us, driving us to all these fabulous locations. Now, the important thing is, of course, our driver guides. They are the people on the ground, and with wireless communication, they can follow the herds. They can inform each other about where the animals actually are, so we can drive to that area to see where the action is. So just what we're going to see, we'll see gazelles, Thompson gazelles, and there are supposed to be about 470,000 of them in the national park, and giraffes. Just I don't have the numbers for giraffes, but we will see a lot of them actually, and talk about a lot of them too. And zebras, about 260,000 of them. Now, this migration, of course, starts with the migration of the herds. That is the wildebeest. And let's see here, what is the next one? Next one is the elephants. Now, the interesting thing with the elephants is they were not originally in the Serengeti National Park. About 30 years ago, they started moving into the national park because of humans starting to encroach into their territory that is now outside the park. As population increased and people started to appropriate more land for agriculture and to graze their domesticated herds. Then elephants didn't have much of an area to live, so they started moving into these protected areas into the Serengeti Park. Now, today, there are some, accounts say there are about 1,400 of them living in the national park. Now, wildebeest, of course, this is the main grazing animal in the area. There are more than 1.3 million of them here, and as I was saying, this great migration actually starts with them, mostly with the wildebeest, and then the zebras, and then the gazelles. They start following the green grass, grazing up north in the clockwise direction, and they are followed by the hunters, the lions and cheetahs and crocodiles, partly, of course, that is in the rivers. Just crossing the rivers become quite an ordeal for the herds to cross, which we are going to see. And of course, hippopotamus, right? Hippos we will see all around in the Grumeti and Mara rivers. Now, and crocodiles are important. They are one of the main predators during the river crossings, and I remember spending just a couple of hours by the rivers, watching the herds, trying once, trying twice to cross the river, and crocodiles waiting over there, jumping on the wildebeest, trying to catch them. And that's really an exciting big action, living, just seeing nature documentary live on the spot over there. And of course, it's not just the land mammals, but there is a big bird life going on, black headed heron here, and just small birds too, lilac-breasted roller. So of course, one must is you need to bring your binoculars, and strong one, of course, and just zoom lenses. Just now, most of us gained the habit of carrying our smartphones, and we most of the time use our smartphones to take pictures. Now, this is the time a smartphone may not work. Just a really good classical camera with a strong zoom, would work much better. And of course, vultures. Now, where there is that much preying, and the lions and cheetahs, just chasing antelopes and gazelles and all these other grazing animals, whatever remains, they are the food of vultures. Whatever remains from hunting lions, you will see vultures flying around and trying to get all those, feed on all those remains. And of course, lions. Now, lions are quite big in number, actually, more than 3,000 of them. And we will have an opportunity to see quite big numbers of lion families, actually, I should say here. Now, this is this isolated rock hill. They are called kopjes in Afrikaans, from little head, kopje. They are isolated little rock hills, especially not in the northern part of Serengeti, but in our third and fourth days in Serengeti, we'll be in central part, and we will see those outcrops, these isolated rock hills, which are mainly form the habitats for lions in this area. So there is the great migration, of course, millions of people just moving up north, following the rain and everything. But also in central Serengeti, there is some settled population always. Even outside the period of great migration and everything, there is a permanent population of lions and cheetahs and the wildebeest and all the others, especially in central Serengeti, that we are going to see mostly over there. Here is a lion family. Yeah, this is the mother, and cubs are actually quite big already. And of course, cheetahs. Cheetahs, yes, the fastest land animals on Earth. They are known to run as fast as 50 to 80 miles per hour. And they're mostly active during the day, and males are more sedentary, and females and cubs together, they are more, just nomadic, running after prey. And because of their size, of course, they are after more medium-sized prey, medium-sized animals. And baboons, the primates. Yeah, just here is a short video. Yeah, just we'll see troops of them in various settings. And they are mostly found in open savannas, and they are omnivores, just eat fruits and insects and shellfish and birds. And here are giraffes, the tallest living terrestrial animals, 14 to 19 feet tall. They eat leaves, fruits, flowers of acacia trees, which are, just abundant there. And if you are lucky, just we will see lions and leopards and hyenas running after them. It is, one of the highlights to see a group of lions just organizing their hunt, circling their prey, and trying to, catch one of the either giraffes or wildebeest. Now, another interesting activity over there, this is an optional activity. This is, by itself, it's not included in our trip, but if, just tour members want to take this as an option, it is possible to do is a balloon safari. This is really, I would recommend, which makes things much, much more interesting. This starts very early in the morning. We leave our camp at about 4:35 a.m. before sunrise. And depending on the location of the herds and animals, in the first place, and the weather conditions, the wind conditions, the origin spot may change. So they, just bring the balloon there, they inflate the balloon, and then we start, our flights. We go up to 1,000 feet or more, or sometimes, go down. There are no fences, no power lines, nothing, no obstruction. And we get unobstructed view of, first of all, the Serengeti National Park, the rivers where the activity is, and of course, the herds. These were the antelopes, or if you are lucky, So I was lucky enough to shoot that, on one of the trips a few years ago. And of course, while just flying, you spot a lion hunt. If you spot that, and just that'll be our cue. After we land, our drivers take us there, and this was at the end of the hunt. You see just a zebra was the prey, and the lion family, was taking care of that. And we will stay in tented camps. Now, when we say tented camps, they are not, just little ramshackle, small tents. They are luxury, comfortable tents. Let's see in detail. There are separate tents for, lounging here, and to the left, dining tents. And here are the residential tents that we'll be staying in. Let's see, this is again the dining tent. The food is, of course, they make there are chefs and all these personnel over there preparing the food, hot dinner, sometimes hot lunch, but most of the time we take, boxed lunch. So during the game drive, we kind of picnic, in the middle of the national park. And the food is nice, European style, and mostly local food is kind of Indian food, but it is delicious. And here, this is inside the tent, just quite luxurious. Um, the comfortable bed, a bathroom with water, running water here, and a toilet with flush. So, it's not like, I feel toilet or something, but I should say this is shower, shower. We have shower, but it's a push shower. So, we need to practice showering in 2 minutes. That is all the water we have. Obviously, we are in the middle of, Serengeti, and water is brought in, and there are people up, above the shower head, actually pouring water by the buckets. Yeah. So that is why, just our allowance is what two buckets at the most. So we need to learn showering in 2 minutes, basically. So the scenery, it is beautiful. Sunsets are beautiful. Acacia trees here, so all over the Serengeti. Just it is, all around. That is one of the food items of the giraffes, actually, acacia trees. So it is not only, of course, in Serengeti, but in northern part of Africa, northeastern part of Africa, and just the historical bit of information that I got is in ancient Egypt, they made an ointment from the ground leaves of acacia, which they used for hemorrhoids. So that was important for the region. So we will spend our 4 or 5 days in Serengeti Park, and then we will drive to the Ngorongoro area, visiting a Maasai village. Maasai, the local people over there. There are about most of them live within the borders of Kenya today. 1.2 million in Kenya, about 800,000 in Tanzania. They are pastoralists, so just nomadic. They have, their main substance is animal husbandry. They have cattle mostly, and of course, Kenya to the north and Tanzanian government to the south. They try to settle them. They try to give them education and a settled life, improve their life conditions in their villages, and but they kind of resist the sedentary lifestyle. But they're also, just with their animal husbandry, they are given just for their livelihood, given the job of protecting the national park, for example. So they are kind of responsible for that partly. But what happens is, of course, they lose land, and with the national park, they lose more land. So they are kind of complaining about losing their grazing land for their cattle. So we'll have an opportunity to visit and see their culture, and see their lifestyle, and listen to their music, and see their dances. They have this interesting jumping dance, kind of a showing their talents of whoever jumps up the highest. So that will be our visit on the way to the Ngorongoro crater. Now this is a panoramic view of the crater here. I mean, the crater is huge, so you have to just visualize that this photo was taken from the ridge of the crater, and what we see, the mountain ridge we see all the way away is the other side of the crater, and in between this round formation is the top of the volcano that, excuse me, that erupted about 2 million years ago and collapsed into itself and formed this huge, large caldera. And this is the world's largest inactive, intact volcanic caldera. And it's about 2,000 feet deep from the point that this photo was taken to the bottom of the caldera is about 2,000 feet deep and 100 square miles. And the crater floor itself is about 5,900 feet above sea level. So we will stay in a camp again. And the next morning, early in the morning, we will just drive into the caldera like this here. This is, one of those 4x4s driving down into the caldera. And then the interesting part starts. In the caldera, there is a small lake, Lake Magadi, and there's also animal life. There are about 15,000 wildebeests, 120 lions, thousands and thousands of flamingo, hippos, gazelles, buffalo, zebras, rhinos. So this is another view from the top. So we will spend the morning in the caldera, again with the game drive, with and baboons. It's a troop of baboons over there. So visiting the what is that lake, Ngorongoro crater area. And the next day we will drive from there to Lake Manyara on the way to Arusha. Lake Manyara, which is about 125 square miles. It has, of course, a lively, bird life, a bird, paradise. More than 350 bird species, mainly flamingos and pelicans here, and of course many others. So after visiting this Lake Manyara, we'll drive to Arusha and spend the night, and the next day we'll visit one village and a marketplace in the town of Arusha. And then on August 11th, we will drive to Kilimanjaro Airport and fly back home. Now, this is the safari part. And now, actually, if you, as I mentioned, are willing and able, then there is the hike, Kilimanjaro hike. Well, we call it hike. Actually, part of it is partly climbing. It's not, mountain climbing, but still climbing is involved. And it's not, just a hike in the woods, kind of, an easy hike. You need to be really, have stamina. It is from July 27th to August 4th, 9 days and 7 nights. 7 nights, 5 of those nights will be in the mountain and 2 nights in Arusha. The arrival night, first Arusha at the hotel, and the final night will also be in the hotel, at the hotel in Arusha. So this is Mount Kilimanjaro here, a dormant volcano. It is 5,895 meters above sea level. The highest point, the peak is, which is about 19,400 feet. And now it looks huge because now there's the plateau, and it is the highest mountain in Africa and highest single freestanding mountain above sea level in the world. So from the plateau, the 16,000 feet of the mountain out of 19,400 feet of the whole above sea level height, 16,000 feet is above the plateau itself. So when we are at the base, it looks really huge. So this the ways. There are ways, there are different routes of climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, at least 4 or 5 of them. So we see different routes. Now, the one we are going to take is the Machame route. Well, I speak in, we language, but, I will not be doing this. I don't think I have the, just physical, I'm in the physical condition to do that at this point. Now, this Machame route starts from the Machame gate, goes up to the Machame camp one night, Shura 2 camp second night, Barranco camp third night. We'll skip, we'll just have lunch here and then continue to Barafu camp. And then the longest day will be Uhuru Peak, go up there and then come down this way to Mueca camp and then come down, and that'll be the end of the hike. So the top is the Uhuru Peak, and that day, just making every day. First of all, the hike is about 4 or 5 hours at least of hike, and sometimes it's 6 hours. And the day of the peak, from Barafu camp to Uhuru Peak and then coming down, it is about 13 hours altogether. So we need to just leave the camp, the Barafu camp, at about midnight in dark, so that we can be at the peak by sunrise and celebrate over there half an hour, and then start coming down. Just going up will be 6 to 7 hours, from midnight to 6 a.m. And then coming down will be another 4 to 5 hours to Barafu and then down to Mueca camps. So that is the longest day of the hike. What will it look like? Now, this is Machame Gate, Kilimanjaro National Park, the entry point. Our bus or van, depending on the size of the group, takes us to Machame Gate, and then we start our hike like this. Here is the peak, and this is just volcanic rocks here. Climbing up, we have our gears and carrying our small, backpacks. But there are also, just porters actually just carrying all the necessary stuff, the food stuff and the tents and everything. So climbing up, this is the one of the hardest parts actually on the third day, I believe, of the hike, climbing the Barranco wall. Once you are there, actually, I mean, climbing up here under normal circumstances, if we were in Vermont, let's say, right, it wouldn't be that hard. It is the elevation that makes it hard. Just you are already, a couple of thousand feet above sea level, so that makes it harder. Other than that, if you're in, just relatively good physical condition, just climbing up this, let's see it from the other side, it is not that extremely hard. But the elevation, the altitude, just that makes it hard. And we are at the peak here, Uhuru Peak, 5,895 feet. I'm sorry, meters above mean sea level here. And if you can do that, at the end, you'll get a certificate of achievement showing that you did this. And then these are the accommodations, of course. The porters carrying and setting up the tents, just individual tents, or you can share if you like. So tents, and there'll be dining tents with tables and portable chairs, and hot dinners. As I mentioned, lunches, will be we will carry the lunches with us, box lunches, and we see the local porters here, and of course mountain guides also just leading the way and just helping us and showing us the route. So that will be the hike up and down to Kilimanjaro. The first 5-6 days, and then you can continue with the safari if you want to, or you can fly back home. So This is the whole trip. Now let me stop sharing my screen with you and start my video here. So it's going to be a fantastic trip, whether you take the first part or the second part or both. So either way, I'm sure you will enjoy that. Any questions?
Okay, if we
Yes,
decide
Tom.
the Kilimanjaro part, how do we know that we're in good enough shape? What's the judge?
Yeah. Now, I don't have it in front of me, but if you open up the brochure, just download the brochure and open it up. Just it says, you have to be able to do this and that, a few things, and I can also email you, certain. If you're able to, walk this much and climb this much in a day, then you can do that. And if you have tried, altitudes, the altitude sickness is the main thing. Apart from the physical condition. First of all, you have to be able to withstand the altitude. You shouldn't have any altitude sickness or anything, right? Otherwise, just whatever level you are, you will just stop there and you'll have to walk back, basically. And then comes the strength part. That again, just I can email you that part, or you can download the brochure and read that part. And there are certain, just what is that criteria that you can check and see whether you are fit enough to do that or not.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
So on the hike part up to Kilimanjaro, what is do most people make it, or what the fail rate?
Yeah, no, most people, yeah. The success, well, there are statistics actually, and the success rate for this route is about 80%. That's what I read. That is quite high, actually. That's quite high, 80%. And
that are on this call are above average. I think that there's no problem.
well, the statistics are, just, I have been on trips with you before, not with Claudine and Jan, but with Tom, Ruth, Sylvia, and Mark. And I know your ages. I have your passport copies still and everything. So those statistics are most probably mostly for, people in their 20s up to 50s, 40s, 50s, I guess. That's what I would assume. So, yourselves, your physical activity level and everything. So you will decide, on your own. But the statistic of 85% success rate, that is, even though they haven't mentioned any, age range, I would assume that would be for, 20 to 40, 50, age range. That is one thing. I would say another thing, but I lost my train of thought, I think, just. Yeah, that is, let's see here. Yeah, the success rate. That is,
the people who don't make it are the old people.
well, this is one of the, and I have to mention, yeah, actually, this is information. This is one of the easier routes. The other routes are harder, more, they are steeper, and there's more climbing, more altitude in shorter period of time, periods of time. That makes it harder. That's one thing. Now here on this route, what happens is, at the beginning you climb up, for the first night, second night, and between second night and third night, what happens is that hard climb, remember, just the wall that you climb. Now that is a lava formation, and your beginning point is this high, and all the elevations are given in the brochure too. And again, the brochure is not in front of me now, so I will not be able to give you the exact brochure. But when you download the brochure, you will see day by day, elevations that you climb. So, at the beginning of the day, you are at this level, you climb up and climb over that lava formation and go down to more or less the same level that you started the day with. So that gives you, that is kind of an acclimatization day. So that makes you, takes you up. So you experience the higher elevation and then come down and spend the night again at the lower level. So that day is kind of acclimatization day, because the next day you will try the peak. So in that sense, this route is, easier than the other ones. The other ones, just, you go up, 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 and gain elevation in shorter periods.
Okay. You convinced us.
You're gonna do it?
Not to do it, not to do it.
No. Well said. No. It sounds interesting. But Elias, do you know anything about Zanzibar? Because if I ever went to Tanzania, I wanted to go to Zanzibar. Yeah. And if we thought about tacking that on, how much time, how many days there would make sense?
Yeah. Yes. Now, how many days? Well, normally I would say if you spend one full day over there, that will be enough.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say. So, but what will happen is most probably you will have to spend a little bit more than that, maybe a day and a half, because of the flight connections.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I would suggest is, well, you can do this either, before or at the end. Assuming you will go for the hike at the beginning, then doing that at the end might be the way. So you can fly from Kilimanjaro Airport directly to Zanzibar, if there is direct flight. Otherwise, it will be via Dar es Salaam.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll spend the night, just walk around, see the old town, the stone town, and a few historic sites and the beaches. That is interesting. And then the next day, depending on, what time the flight is, most probably it'll be kind of either early evening or, because the flight out of whatever you do, you will have to fly via Kilimanjaro Airport. So from Zanzibar to maybe Dar es Salaam, and then Kilimanjaro Airport, and then, Amsterdam and Houston.
Yeah.
So it is doable. You can also, just say you can do it, you want to do it at the beginning. That is also doable. Because actually that may even be better.
Yeah.
Because now what will happen is the suggested flights are on KLM, and you fly via Amsterdam, right? And you leave whatever day you leave, and you arrive there in Kilimanjaro Airport the next day at about 7:30 p.m. local time. So that night is the only night that you will have to get rid of your jet lag.
Right.
Because the next morning you will drive and start climbing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are planning to do Zanzibar, doing it at the beginning will at least help you get rid of the jet lag.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So by the time you come to Arusha for the hike, at least you won't have jet lag, and you will start with, with a just getting accustomed to the local time frame over there.
Mm-hmm.
And what day are you actually back in Arusha? If you take the hike.
From the hike?
Mhm.
From the hike is 1 second, actually. Let me now open up that file in front
There's some
of me.
overlap.
It's the 4th, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. There's overlap because the ones who will join only the safari part will be there the next day. So the final night in Arusha of the hikers will overlap the first night of the ones who who will be there for the safari.
Is that the 3rd of August?
So now that I'm opening up that file in front of me to give you the exact dates. So here it comes, 1 second.
It's the 3rd or the 4th because the first one is
Here,
the
yeah.
27th.
So what happens is now for the hikers, if you leave on July 27th, you are there on July 28th, spend the night, July 28th, 29th, Saturday, you start climbing. And on August 2nd, you come, yeah, just, okay. On August 2nd, you do the, what is that? You start coming, walking down. And August 3rd, you are back in Arusha. August 3rd, hikers will be in Arusha. And the ones who leave for safari will leave on August 2nd, and they will also be in Arusha on August 3rd. So their nights in Arusha will overlap. And August 4th, those who do hiking only will fly back. And August 4th, those who do safari will fly from Arusha, domestic flight, to northern Serengeti. Yep. And then the whole tour ends on August 11th.
Unless you choose to go somewhere else after the safari.
Yep.
So y'all gonna take the whole tour with us?
One more question.
Maybe.
Yes.
Do you get to see Lake Victoria? It looks like when you were pointing out that you came close, but you don't see it. Do we get to
No, we won't go that way. No.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions?
If we go to Zanzibar, I guess part of that is seeing where Freddie Mercury was from. Right?
Exactly. Yes.
That's the
Exactly.
reason to go.
Mhm.
Yes.
Is there anything to see in Tonga?
I'm sorry, where?
Tonga.
It's like the third
Tonga?
biggest city.
No, actually. The thing is, the short answer is no. And let me bring in some history and a little bit of explanation. Now, we did this tour or something similar a number of times before. And personally, I like I like safari, it's interesting and everything, but I always want to incorporate some cultural side to it, some historic part to it. So in the previous trips, we would start from Dar es Salaam and includes one night of Zanzibar too. And then we would fly by Lake Victoria to a town called Mwanza. I mean, in Tonga and other cities, and even in Arusha, there isn't a lot to see, nothing. So, but in Dar es Salaam, just to say that I was in Dar es Salaam. The name is interesting, House of Peace and everything. Okay, Zanzibar is interesting, that's good. But to be honest, there isn't anything to see over there. I mean, in Dar es Salaam, and then going to Mwanza, just to say that okay, this is Lake Victoria here, and talk about Lake. And the only interesting part is from Lake Victoria, from Mwanza, that town, we would drive into Serengeti, following the coastal line along along the coast of Lake Victoria. And over there are a couple of fishing villages. And those villages, there are local tribes that have local, local, should I call them museums, little exhibits of, their cultural artifacts. That is one thing. And they occasionally have, dance shows and music and everything for the group. And also we have, we canoe on Lake Victoria. That's the only interesting part.
Skip that.
To me, that was interesting and everything. And then we drive into Serengeti. So we start the safaris from the north, from that part. So we used to have that. The problem with that was, as interesting as it is, and as much as Tanzania is trying to, develop their tourism industry and everything, there are no hotels, no places to stay, nothing. That is the difficult part. So we go there, to Mwanza, that is the biggest town, and the hotel we stay at is really, difficult. So that is why we, started to cancel those places and go with the safari portion only. So again, if if you have a group who are interested in that, and we can always incorporate that part. But now what we do is just we concentrate in the safari part, and most of the time people go there for the safari portion in the first place.
Okay.
Sounds interesting. Well,
Along the coast too, from Dar es Salaam, just if you drive an hour up north, there are a few little towns with the history of, slave trade, and in Zanzibar too, if you go there, you will see all those and, just read about and hear about that. But along the eastern coast, that is where, the slave trade from eastern coast of Africa to Yemen, and from there up into Arabian Peninsula and north into Ottoman Empire and everything, it took place. So in that sense, that was interesting.
well, if no one else has any questions, we'll go ahead and sign off and say goodnight. As always, I'm always available. If you have any questions about that, shoot me an email, give me a call. The brochures are on the website. And if you have, the applications are on the website too. And Ilias is always available as well to answer any other questions if you want to do pre-trips or extensions. So,
Okay.
Okay.
So thanks for joining,
Yes.
yeah, definitely.
and goodbye and good night.
Yeah. and-
Night, everyone.
Thank
Mark and
you.
Sylvia, I'll see y'all
Yeah.
tomorrow.
All right, yeah, exactly.
So long.
Look forward to
We'll
it.
see
Okay,
you, Elias.
Bye. Yeah.
Bye. Thank you, Ilias.
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.